Welcome to Stardust Stereo. I'm Parker McVinney. I'm your host. Today is the 12th of July, year 2025. And today we're going to speak about Uranus entering Gemini. It did this on July 7th, just after midnight on the West Coast. Uranus will stay in the sign of Gemini until 2033. With the exception of the period between November 7th, 2025 and April 26th, 2026. Then on the 27th of April, it re-enters Gemini because that November to April period, it will retrograde back into Taurus, where it's been for the last 7 years. So we're going to have one more little 6-month period where Uranus plays a little havoc with our monetary means and the markets and everything dealing with Taurus. Uranus's role is to shake it up, and it will. No matter what sign it's in, its duty is to shake it up so that life does not get into a boring rut. People who have charts with strong Uranian energy look at life in a different way. They're often futuristic, visionaries, way ahead of their time. They don't ask what can be. They live it. They live ahead of the trend. And later, as they age, we often look back on them and hail them as revolutionaries in all senses of the word. Uranus deals with friendships, groups of people. It's going to bring to us new groups. And I was reflecting on the events that have occurred since July 7th. And Elon Musk proclaiming to start a third party in politics in America, and I welcome that. I've been a third party person since forever, and I have often stated that we will have 3 parties by 2030. I really believe that. He may not be successful with this little go of it, but he is planting seeds that eventually will take root. Now, Uranus will return to Taurus November 7th until April, and that's the period in which we'll see the markets being very radical, very up, down, left, right, backwards, forward, not fitting any pattern. But then that last week in April of 2026, Uranus will firmly be placed in Gemini, and it will stay there until May of 2033. Flying cars, yes. We will start to hear more about the future with flying cars. I know that sounds a little scary. Arms deals will be made. New computer discoveries. Non-stop talking and strange stories. I did notice on July 7th when Uranus moved into Gemini, I happened to be working at the Del Mar Fair, and about 44,000 people came through every day. That was a fascinating study in people. And one thing that definitely caught my attention was on the 7th, people seemed compelled to come up and pour out their life stories, their stories of early childhood. It happened over and over. And I was a good listener because I'm fascinated by what people wish to share. I also love talking, and I was in a perfect job for that. because they do want you to talk at the fair. And one thing that truly made a deep impression on me was how much we're all alike. I know we're always hearing about the differences amongst groups, but at the core, we're very much the same. Everybody has memories that has lived long enough. And as you get older, things trigger those memories. And this need to give validation for those that have passed and memories that have had deep meaning in your life become more pronounced. As Uranus moves through Gemini, people are going to be talking and writing and telling their stories. There will be so many memoirs written. And maybe we will become more understanding of our fellow man because of this. If you like to read, this is going to be a great period for you. If you're a writer, this is an excellent period for you. Power of neighborhoods. Power of a new party. As Musk is on it, it will happen. Communications that take on a vital importance in the day-to-day life. The solstice point of 0 Gemini is 29 degrees Cancer. And what have we also been seeing, unfortunately, at this period, this first week that Uranus went into Gemini? Floods. Lots of loss of life. Cancer, of course, is a water sign. So Gemini solstice point. And if you don't understand that, then let it go. I don't want to fill your head with too much data because the rest of the world will do this. A new language will be discovered. There will be headway with psychic communication. You think of somebody, they ring. You send a message telepathically, it will be received. At one point, we're not going to need telephones anymore. You think it, it manifests. The great masters have said this all along. Watch your words, thoughts, and deeds. What you tell yourself, you are setting in motion. If you tell yourself, oh, I'm so stupid, you're reiterating that. So clean up those thoughts that you have, that way of talking to your higher self. Make it elevated. Elevate it to the point of what you wish to achieve. Twins. More information on the development of twins, the DNA of twins. I don't know the specifics, but Gemini is the twin symbolism. So I believe that new understanding of twins' birth and development will be happening in this period between now and 2033. Robots that do things with their arms that's repetitive, that man cannot do, will excel during this time. I'm not really big on the whole robot thing, but it's here. Maybe in surgery, new profound ways of healing ankles and hands, people that have been harmed in war, prototypes of how they create mechanical ankles and hands. Uranus rules ankles. Gemini rules the hands and the shoulders. Birds. The birds will become more important. Electrical airwaves, how that affects our brain. Books on the supernatural, astro travel. Brother and sister friendships will become much sought out. Rebellion in countries that are ruled by Gemini. I'm going to give you some of that information a little bit later. Air travel is going to change. Mass transit, big changes. People that have started companies within the family may have disruptions between the siblings. This would be high profile corporations that are run by families. When Uranus goes into this Gemini, as a sign as it is now, then wounds that have not been healed can cause breakups. So we're going to see in-family corporations having more disruptions. Uranus in Gemini rules radio broadcasters. It rules, like I said, airplanes. Oh, there's a twin-engine airplane, I believe. We may see that in the news in some way. There's the possibility of some great innovations in that area of twin airplanes. Uranus in Gemini also gives me a heads up about the post office. Changes there. There is software on my phone called Gemini. I've never used it. And I just Googled it, and it's the artificial intelligence chat box developed by Google. Okay, so we're going to see some changes with that. With Uranus coming in to Gemini, and it's their namesake, and it's completely has rulership over it. There will be some changes in that company, mark my word. Uranus in Gemini, which is an air sign, indicates hurricanes will become much more prevalent. Interesting point, the solstice point of 0 degrees Gemini is 29 degrees Cancer, and we've just dealt with flash floods in Texas. Oh my God. What suffering that state is going through. And I do send my prayers out to everybody. Uranus is classically the divorce planet, separation planet, sudden lightning bolt. We might see divorces because of 3 parties in a marriage. A lot of movies made now will have sequels. The chart of July 7th, 2025 at 45 minutes past midnight on the West Coast using the natural wheel, meaning that Aries is 0 degrees Aries on that 9 o'clock dial, puts Uranus right smack dab in the 3rd house, of course. And in that chart, we see, or I see, looking at it, a public that is very restless. The moon was in Sagittarius when Uranus entered Gemini, and we can look at this base chart as an indicator of potential workings of Uranus moving through Gemini. Venus was at 2 degrees Gemini, almost 3. And there is a lovely, we always want to focus on the good, There's plenty of bad out there. I focus on the good. Uranus is in a lovely relationship with Saturn and Neptune. And with that, it says bright ideas that are held up as visionary, but also include the feet on the ground duty work, will stay strong and will bring great inventions that make life easier for people. So, I am saying my interpretation of Uranus going into the sign Gemini, meaning there's some bright minds out there that are an antenna for all the fantastic future ideas that are flying about the vortex. And whoever has their antenna up picks it up. But the people that get the praise are the people that pick up the idea and then take it to completion. Because not everybody takes their great ideas to completion. And those ideas are out there floating in the universe, just wanting to Velcro themselves to your brain. So it's not enough to have the great idea, the great story, the great screenplay, the great short story. You have to have the discipline of day in, day out, and see it to its completion if you want to realize something 360. I think everything's going to become wireless, and all the cables, all that's going to be going by 2033. No more cables to trip over. I mentioned the inner dialogue, the inner words you tell yourself to your higher self. Super important that you get a grip on that. Did I mention a new language? I don't remember if I did. A new language is coming. That new language may be based in silence. Let's talk a little bit about the countries that are affected by Uranus in Gemini. Mexico, it's great for Mexico. 0 degrees, Uranus will conjunct Mexico's Jupiter. That is magic deal making. Great trade deals. Great trade deals. North Korea is not going to have such a great time. It creates a T-square with their moon and their Mars. The people of North Korea are not happy. There will be uprisings there, probably after the period of when Uranus returns to Taurus. So I would say it's going to be in the latter part of 2026, 2027. North Korea is going to be a huge uprising. Palestine, it's helpful for Palestine. Super helpful. However, we will not see that helpfulness just yet, unfortunately. And that brings me to the Nobel Peace Prize. I was looking at social media today, and I saw these 2 world leaders that I'm not even going to name congratulating each other on one nominating the other for the Nobel Peace Prize. And they're both warmongers. And then I happened to come across a lovely dialogue with the man who created Live Aid. You know, that time when all the musicians came together and sang to help the people of Ethiopia from starving to death. They created millions upon millions of dollars to help starving people. His name is Bob Geldof, and he did a miraculous thing. That man should get the Nobel Peace Prize. Please, not these warmongers, please. Okay. This is helpful for England. Uranus is trining England's Uranus. But it's not going to become exact until 2026. The future of England is going to be very progressive. That's especially true when Prince William takes over. In America, our leader is a born Gemini. And even though his son is at a later degree of it, and he was born with the sun in the same sign as his birth Uranus, so he's going to be having a what we call Uranus return. Not everybody makes it to their Uranus return. Some people are glad. But even for Trump, the Uranus return is a little ways off. So we have yet to see if he's going to make it to that, because that return won't become exact until August of 2029. So he's got 4 more years. It classically happens when you're 84. However, if you were born with the sun at 0 degrees Gemini, give or take 1 or 2 days from that moment when the sun entered Gemini, Uranus is touching your sun. This is such a shaking, moving event for you. If you were born in Aquarius when the sun was at 0 to 2 degrees, it is also massively important. Or if you're a Libra with the sun from 0 to 2 degrees. For those 3 sun signs, Gemini, Aquarius, Libra, but especially Gemini, your life will be changing. If you have been experiencing that thing called, gosh, I always wanted to do fill in the blank, you will be feeling the need to manifest every dream that you have not done so thus far. And if everybody thinks that you have lost your mind, they will be correct, because this is not a mind thinking thing, even with the sign Gemini. You know, it's a thinking planet. It's in the sign Uranus, but you're still thinking outside of the box in the biggest possible way. So I say take those risks, take those chances, go for it. This is not the time to be sitting on the fence. It's a time of exploration, trial and error, great friendship, exploring what marriage is for you, exploring why you think what you think, and experimenting, finding out for yourself what works for you. If you have always wanted to travel and you haven't, this is your opportunity. Especially road trips, because Gemini deals with the communication within your community, your neighborhood, your state. But when it enters the sign of Uranus, you can take a road trip across country. It's great for hiking. Just be prepared. Do your homework. This is an excellent time to explore our bird population, the songs of all living beings, the whales, how they communicate, the air creatures. It's also a great time to explore breath and meditation and what calms your mind, how you can still that chatter. Conversations are important, and especially peace deals. On August 6th this summer, transiting Mars will enter Libra and make a lovely relationship with Uranus and Gemini, that is a chance for a peace deal. The second time is going to be January 23rd of 2026. Mars will enter Aquarius. And at that time, even though Uranus would not yet be returned to Gemini, because remember it's going retrograde on November 7th, 2025 until April 26, 2026. So when Mars enters Aquarius on January 23rd, 2026, it's in a wide out of sign trine. But that's the second opportunity. The third opportunity is when transiting Mars enters Gemini, June 28th, 2026, transiting Mars enters Gemini and will move to co-join Uranus in Gemini. Super important period will be the end of June next year. One more date I want to give you. This August 23rd, this summer, we have a new moon at 0 degrees Virgo. It's going to square Uranus. That will be the first new moon squaring this new entered placement of Gemini and Uranus. Virgo and Gemini will duke out the details. So that new moon that happens in August, 23rd of August, is going to square the Uranus and Gemini placement. That will be the first outer that is having a hard aspect to a new moon. It's a big deal. It is probably going to be when the peace treaties are just right on the table. And the word that has to be kept in the forefront of the mind is integrity. That will help you to find any compromise with any conflicts that you have during that time. So I want to leave you with the thought that having more words to express yourself does not always mean that you are heard. Using discernment with those words, more is not always better. So find the correct words, the correct delivery, the way in which to have an opening, to have a dialogue that is productive. Allow your mind to open up to perceive the unperceivable. And this will be a magical time for you. I will at another date do Uranus through the zodiac wheel of each house, but not today. I'm Parker McPhinney. This is Stardust Stereo. I want to thank you for listening. I'd like to thank my patrons. You know who you are. And if you'd like to become a patron, you can do so at patreon.com/ParkerMcP. There's many levels, and any support I can get, I do appreciate. And I want to remind you, you are made of stardust. So go shine.